Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Let's Dream podcast. Today, we have another dreamer interview for you where we go over some of their dreams and what they think about dreams. It always amazes me the wild and crazy dreams that people have, and I always love hearing them. So, if you have any dreams that you would like to share with us, please do so at contact@letsdreampodcast.com, or you could just pretty much reach out to us on any social media. Our Instagram is Let's Dream IG, and then you can also just look up the YouTube channel, or if you're listening on Spotify or Podbean or Apple Podcasts. Anyway, without further ado, here is the interview. Thank you so much for joining me on the Let's Dream podcast. I know you're an avid dreamer and you have a lot of really interesting dreams. I just have like a couple of quick questions to ask you before we get into the dreams, just to kind of like get an idea of maybe some of your interests and who you are as a person. Is that okay?
Mhm. Okay.
All right, cool. So the first thing that I actually like to ask a lot of people, just because it helps me get an idea, kind of like how they think and who they are as a person. If reincarnation is real, just humor me. But if reincarnation is real, who would you want to be reincarnated as?
Like,
Anyone out of
like,
history or fiction, anything.
like before or after though. Like,
It doesn't
I
matter. Anytime.
probably that I never thought of this before. So,
I like to catch people off guard like that.
an alien,
An alien. Okay, do you have a specific alien in mind?
because we don't know what kind of aliens are out there. So,
Nice. Okay, I like that answer. That's actually a very original answer. I've asked that question to a lot of people, and I don't think anyone's ever said alien before. So thank you. So then let's get into dreams a little bit. The first thing I wanted to ask is, what's the earliest dream that you remember having, like when you were the youngest? What's the earliest dream memory you have?
it's a good question. Yeah, I remember quite a few dreams throughout my life, and sometimes if I think really hard about it, others will pop up, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I remember that one." One of the earliest I remember, some of the earliest ones involve spiders because I had a fear of spiders when I was a kid.
Okay,
I don't really care about spiders anymore. They don't really affect me.
sure.
Um, there was this one where I'm outside. It's like night out, like in my driveway,
Okay.
and I see this little spider, and I stomp on it, killing it. And my dad's like, "We gotta go. We gotta go." Like we get in the car and I'm like, why do we have to go? And as we're driving away, I look in the rearview mirror and there's just a giant spider.
Nice.
It's huge, and I was like, what the? And then that's kind of all I remember. But I remember that one very well. Yeah.
Nice. See, that's I wonder about that because I like to ask people, like just to see if there's a transition from when they were younger to now. I mean, obviously people change, so maybe there's always a transition, but it seems to me that it's a common theme for like when you're younger, a lot of the dreams are based kind of like in fear. From what I
Mhm.
gather, I think maybe it has something to do with like you're young and you're more vulnerable. Maybe you're just learning about the world. But that's
Yeah.
cool though. I like that. That's a direct reflection of who you were as as a younger person. Um, okay. Now, question: have you always been interested in dreams, or did something happen that sparked your curiosity and you decided to get more into them?
I'd say that kind of started like I'd say around this time 4 years ago, which is kind of crazy to say. Like that's so long ago. Uh, I had a dream that sort of inspired like a book that I'm writing, and like ever since then I've been kind of more fascinated about dreams and stuff. Like, and the dream was, hey, it had deep, profound effect on me, and I always wondered if I would ever have a dream about it again. I haven't, but I've
Okay.
always just wondered like if it would like come back or something. Because
Okay. Is that the one that you had shared with me a while ago? The one that seemed very real?
no,
Okay.
no, the
Okay.
one that seemed real is a completely different one. The one that I had a while back, it didn't. It's not that it seemed real. It just seemed like I was watching a TV show or a movie.
Okay. Okay. So, but before that dream 4 years ago, you didn't pay much attention to your dreams or think about them very much. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting. And again, I'm kind of like obsessed with dreams. You probably already know this, but like I talk about dreams to everyone. I think it's like to the point where it's kind of annoying some people, but it's
Yeah.
really like it's a fascinating phenomena. We spend, what is it, like a third of our life sleeping, so it's obviously a lot of dreams happen. But um, since then, since you've had that interest, you know, since you've developed an interest in your dreams, um, have you noticed any? I think you mentioned that there was like a change, or like the dream itself changed your life. Is that right?
Um, the one that I was referring to, or a
Yeah,
different one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did. I mean, I started writing my story around it, and that's kind of became like my obsession. Like how you have dreams, and I have my story, and like
Okay,
dreams are definitely like a part of that, though, because like I started that Reddit account that we talked over.
right. I think that's a good reflection of I don't know. I think it's something that's kind of suppressed. So I often, when I'm out with friends and family, like I'm always sketching in my sketchbook, because I always try to bring like a visual to dreams, just because I don't know, it's very interesting to me. But um, like I'll talk to everyone about dreams, and I would say that a lot of times people are interested in sharing their dreams because it used to be more commonplace, but it's falling by the wayside for some reason in modern culture. Like dreams are seen, I guess, because they're not productive. There's no real way to, I guess, monetize on it. But so it's not really considered important. Do you get that feeling?
A little. I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious to ask about that because like I read a lot about ancient cultures. Like the Egyptians had a very they had a lot of emphasis on dreams, and it was commonplace for them to have like a dream journal and discuss their dreams. Native Americans were in the habit of just discussing their dreams, usually around in the evening before they went to bed. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting how today everyone's like very driven and like to be productive, but we don't spend nearly enough time, I don't think, being introspective. Um, but that being said, do you ever become aware that you're dreaming inside of your dream, regardless of the control?
There's a few times where I can tell that I'm like thinking within my dream, like, whatever dream is occurring, I'm conscious of my thoughts. So like,
Okay.
um, yeah, I don't understand how it works exactly. Like, it's like, okay, you're like going to get Starbucks, right?
Right.
You're waiting in line, and you're just like really bored out of your mind.
Okay.
So you start imagining things. You're imagining,
Sure.
and as you're imagining, that you're consciously aware of all that, of like everything around you, but you're daydreaming.
I see.
There's there's some points where I'm dreaming, and I just start daydreaming in the dream.
I see. Oh, I
I
never.
don't I don't Yeah, I don't understand how it works, but I'm like I can tell that my brain is thinking about something else.
Yeah, that's um me and my co-host, we were talking the last episode, we were discussing consciousness and how it's such a difficult phenomena to grasp and understand. But and even modern science with all its accomplishments has difficulty defining consciousness. But that's yeah, that's so interesting to think about. It's like yeah, you're just thinking and you're aware within your dream, kind of like in daily life.
But there was another thing to tell you
Yeah, yeah, go
about.
go ahead.
um Dreams are not really a thing in Native American culture. It's called a vision. and a vision isn't always something that happens while you're asleep. Um, some Sometimes in some different like tribes among cultures, a vision is like it's like a quest. They call it vision quest sometimes, and
Okay.
typ- typically it's either elders like sitting around in a fire smoking tobacco. That's more of like my tribe's kind of thing. That's kind of what we did. Other tribes, they would so an individual would literally go out into the wilderness without food or water for 3 days or something like that, and they would come back with knowledge, with information, or just have a new understanding. Other tribes literally didn't do any of this stuff. They were just warring tribes. That's a commonplace thing.
Okay.
That's where a lot of the stipulation against Native Americans came from.
Gotcha.
Warring tribes. And it's quite unfortunate because not all tribes are violent. My tribe wasn't.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm gonna look more into that. It's kind of hard to get like um a a
Inf-
good understanding just from what. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's pretty hard to get information on this sort of stuff since it's poorly understood, and especially in white society here in
Yeah.
America, it's rather upsetting that overall the most oppressed and most undermined society is the society that was here before the white man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, yeah. There's just a lot in that. But what tribe are you from?
Uh, I'm of the Penobscot tribe.
Okay, and so a dream. While so you could be asleep or awake and have a vision. That's how you described it.
It it's under certain conditions, I guess, but
Okay.
you know, like it's not like a daydream. Sometimes it would come from uh psychedelics. That's more commonplace in the southeast,
Okay.
the deep south, the far west. Up northeast, there wasn't really much of like there's not really any sort of biological chemicals in nature that can cause psychedelic effects up here. Like in New England, it's just not a commonplace thing.
When I was doing some research on dreams, as far as like what Native Americans, and I understand that there were a lot of different cultures, a lot of different tribes. I think it was like over 500 different tribes. So obviously, there's like a lot of difference between them. But um, so one thing that I found that was common was, I guess, is it considered that dreams can be a message from your ancestors?
Um, there were some like stories from way back about things like that. Like an ancestor of mine, I believe, or maybe it was an ancestor within the tribe who had a vision quest, and in his vision he saw um gigantic structures falling,
Okay.
and he saw um like millions of warriors, and he didn't understand it, but that's something that I was told.
Okay.
And I'm assuming what he was seeing is our modern world somehow. I don't know how that's even possible. I don't understand it at all.
Well,
It's beyond me.
yeah, I didn't. I mean, I don't know. I think it's possible. I know that, the thing is, we like to rely on science for security and stability, which is fine because it definitely aids us in our survival. But there's
Mm.
just so much that we don't understand. I don't like to just discard things without examining them, even if they sound, far out. So I'll give you an example, and then this kind of leads into my next question. Um, so this is years ago. This is maybe like close to like 8 years ago now. Um, I was going to move in with some of my friends, some roommates, and before moving in with them, like a year before that, I had a dream that I was just laying down on this bed in this room that seemed that I didn't know at the time, with my luggage next to me. And a year later, I moved in with them, and I was laying down, and I had that exact moment. And then the only reason I knew I dreamt of it is because a year earlier I had written it in my dream journal. And it was the weirdest thing because I got like goosebumps when I read over my journal from a year ago, because I was like, no, no, that can't be, like, that's not true. And then I remembered that that happened, that exact thing happened, and I had never been in that house before when I had that dream. So it was really weird to me because it felt like almost like I got a glimpse into the future. Now I don't know if my brain somehow calculated and it just happened to be a similar scenario, but it was a really really strange phenomenon that happened. It's never happened to me again. I've never had like a another dream that I dreamt that came true, and it seemed kind of um like a very just random scene to happen, to dream about, like with no significance whatsoever. Um, have you ever had that experience where you dreamt something and it came true?
I can't say that I have, but one thing that's sort of a reoccurring thing is I dream about things that I like. Sometimes I'll dream about my friends. Sometimes I'll dream about the past. Sometimes I'll dream like I'm watching a movie. Like the dream feels like I'm just sitting in a theater and I'm watching a movie, and I'm un uh I'm not seeing through my eyes or anyone's eyes. I'm just seeing like it's a camera. There's cinematography, and it's like it's pretty weird. But when it comes to preeminent dreams, that's never happened to me before.
Yeah, dreams are just so awesome. I agree. It's like sometimes they're like a movie, and sometimes like you're in the movie. And I often like to think about it like, a dream is like a movie, and when you're lucid dreaming, it's like you're the director of the movie while the movie's going on.
Mm,
Um, but okay, now why do you think we dream? Do you have your own kind of idea of why?
like why? I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean the reason I ask is because, and I've tried to get like an idea. Like I know if you ask a neuroscientist, they might say that that's when your brain converts, short-term memory into long-term memory. But there's also like there's theories as to why we dream, but I've also looked at um, scientific presentations and research that doesn't really have any evolutionary like reason or scientific backing as to why people dream. So I was just wondering if you thought anything about that, like if you have, because a lot of people have their own thought processes as to why we dream. I just wanted to see if you had one or any idea as to why.
Uh, I think a dream is just sort of like the whole third eye concept is kind of weird because people take it literally. People consider the pineal gland the third eye. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's more about the imagination and like where it comes from, where because you can just consciously like right now imagine a can of Pepsi, right?
Yeah,
Just right now.
yeah,
Yeah, here's a can of Pepsi right here in my mind. And then when you're dreaming, that can of Pepsi that you imagine instead when you're dreaming, it's like visually realized and processed. Like I like to think of it like a computer because I do a lot of research on computers, and like when what you're seeing on the screen, that's literally just processed code. The code has been formed in such a way that it creates an easy and usable process for people like you and me to use.
yeah,
And people who literally learn the languages, when they look at that, they can like see in between the lines. They know what code made up that code to
Yeah.
make the visuals. And basically, when you're looking at those like pages and pages of words and numbers and symbols that make up code, that's kind of like the imagination. That's that's what goes on in our brain when you're
Okay.
dreaming. When you're dreaming, things are being processed, um, and sort of uh, put down a tube, and then that tube is just kind of going really fast because sometimes when you dream, time is distorted like really heavily.
Yeah.
Like a dream can last like literally 5 seconds, and it'll be 8 hours later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I'm glad that you brought that. I like that description. That's a very interesting explanation. Do you know who Alan Moore is?
Well, Google's my friend.
Yeah, basically he's an author. He wrote The Watchmen and V for Vendetta, and two of my all-time favorite graphic novels. He has a really like fascinating way of thinking, and he talks about how um, you know often people discard like thoughts or imagination or things that aren't tangible in this reality. But he explains that our thinking, our imagination is just as real as this reality, no more, no less, but of an equal kind of like existence that reflects this existence. It's kind of like a I don't know, it's a weird thing to think about, but I would agree with that because so much of our thoughts are us, you know.
He looks like Rasputin.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He's a strange character, but I and anyone listening to this, I would strongly urge them to read both The Watchmen and V for Vendetta, both incredible graphic novels. Um,
And also Batman the Killing Joke. That's like the best that's like the most iconic Batman comic.
oh yeah, that one, yes, I forgot that he wrote that one. Okay. Um, so you mentioned the time dilation. Now, have you ever had a dream that felt like it lasted years?
I haven't, but my dad has.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
My dad said that when he was 8 years old, he had dreamt that he was an adult and had lived uh in a married relationship and with this woman for like years.
Wow.
And he he woke up and everything was normal, but he said the dream lasted seemed like it lasted years. And I was like, that's insane. I could never imagine having a dream like that. That's way too much. Cause that would be hardcore, you know? Experiencing a dream where like your dream has become your reality temporarily, and then when that temporariness wears off, the end date comes, the boom, you're back, you're shot back here. And it's like, how does that happen? How
Yeah.
is that even like how is that something that can be comprehended by the human mind where like
Y-
we have such a basic understanding of it, and neuroscience tells us, something that when we read an article based from a neuroscientist and whatever, like we read it and uh, let's be real here. 99% of people are going to read that and not understand half of what they're saying because it's like reading or Albert Einstein's equations. You're like, okay, I can see things, but I just don't understand what I'm looking at. I don't know what to make of this. Like those Japanese scientists that said that they could they're trying to visualize like dreams on like a screen, like what I
Yeah.
was explaining. Yeah, it's like how is that even possible? And then you look it up further, and you're like, okay, never mind. I can't figure this out at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's a good point, but I think science is extremely important, but I think often it misses the point. And here's what I mean. Like you can go to a theater to watch a play, and the way that a scientist might describe that phenomena is like a bunch of Homo sapiens on a stage, um, making noises with their mouths, like verbalizing things. while a larger group of Homo sapiens just watches them. So like that would be 100% true. Everything in that statement would be true, but it completely misses the point of going to a play. Like, so I think science is important in studying and recreating phenomena, to our benefit, but
Mm.
it often misses the point. Um, I like people to remember that sometimes. I mean, it has great utility to us as humans, but it's not the point. It's a tool, I would say. Um, Now, I did want to ask you, because you've had a couple of really interesting, very very emotional dreams. That's I often tell people that if they want to understand the meaning behind their own dreams, they have to think of, in terms of it, how it made them feel, because it's not just what happened, but how it made them feel. Um, do you have any interesting dreams that you'd like to share with us today?
I've been looking through my Reddit catalog of dreams. Basically, it's my dream journal.
Okay.
Um, and I'm trying to discern all the dreams because there are some that are much weirder than others. And some are also kind of, pardon my French, fucked up. And I kind of want to stay away from the fucked up ones because,
Okay.
um, like let me give you an example.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I had a dream about a racist demon.
Okay.
It was really, really weird. It was too weird. So we're gonna stay away from things like that.
Okay.
You know,
No problem.
let's trying to keep this podcast at least PG-13.
I appreciate it.
There are also a bunch that are marked NSFW, but I'm 90% sure some of them are probably not as bad as that one. So should I start off with like the first dream I posted, or should I start off with just like any of them? Like, does it matter?
Whichever one you want to share. I mean, I think I know some of the people that listen to this podcast. They're just as fascinated about dreams as I am, and I'm always. I don't know. I find them so interesting. I always like hearing dreams. I don't know what it is, but it's like I would rather listen to somebody tell me their dream than, like, I don't know, a story, or like, I don't know, just anything that you want to go over. I'm fine with.
Hmm. The dream is from the perspective of, like, my eyes, and I'm sitting at my computer. I'm looking at my screen. I'm on YouTube, and the YouTube doesn't look like YouTube. I guess it looks kind of like really old, like mid 2000s YouTube.
Okay.
And I see a video, and the name of it is "If Only a Bear Could Kill," in parentheses, part 1 of 5. And the video is like a documentary. So when I click on the video and start watching it, the view from my eyes is like just gone. It's out the window. Um, the video that's playing is what I'm dreaming about. It's the weirdest thing.
Okay.
So from the narrator, from what I could gather, I could come to the understanding that the documentary is based on real events that inspired a movie. And the documentary is about the making of the movie and the events. And the film stars The Rock, Wesley Snipes, and is directed by John Landis. And I'm not really a The Rock fan. I'm more of a fan of Wesley Snipes. And I'm also a fan of John Landis's work. So how it starts is like two cops are like approaching the scene, where like there's a bear and a house. The house is like torn to pieces, and they're like gonna kill the bear. It's the weirdest thing because that would never happen. Cops are never gonna approach a bear to shoot it.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I hear the narrator say, the man who Dwayne The Rock Johnson is portraying in this film is found miles away on a raft in a river. The police retrieve him and find out he's been heavily sedated. Why is this? And so, like, the visual was that it cuts from that to, like, I could see The Rock on this raft in the river, and he's, like, just approaching the camera. And he's asleep. He's not awake, but he's not dead. He's
Okay.
not dead at all. There's no blood. There's no, um, everything's pointing to the individual being alive. Uh, then it kind of feels like a conspiracy kind of thing, like the way the narrator talks about it. And um, then it shows that the bear was put there at the house by mafia, and I don't even remember how that even worked. So, um, the guy The Rock is acting as, he's like darker and shorter, kind of. I remember how he looked. He's super skinny, and like The Rock's like big. I think like my dream was like criticizing movies that are based on real events for like picking the wrong actors to portray, because you know how sometimes you see those movies and you're like, there's no way that actor should be
Sure. Sure.
portraying this guy. They look nothing alike. So they like retrieve the Rock from the raft. They bring him to the bear where he avoids getting attacked and saves his kids. And it's like the real guy, I guess. And then it shows the film. And then the narrator says, in the hit film, we see how nearly exact they execute the scenes with the use of advanced robotics technology to make the bear seem like as real as the real thing.
Okay.
And that's kind of where that ended for the moment. Because I wake up for about an hour and then I fall back asleep. And then I dream of part two. But I never saw what the rest of the videos were. So like in the second part, The Rock and John Landis split the cost for the advanced robotic technology, and they came under fire from the mafia, the guys who sicked the bear on the guy. They were at like an award ceremony, and the mafia came into this award ceremony. Like, you know how there's like people eating and like drinking food, like in like Hollywood, and
Yeah.
yeah. It's like John Landis and The Rock are like up on stage, like talking about it while people are hanging out. Then the mafia come in with, they're like armed. They're threatening them. People are like kind of walking out, running away. And The Rock and John Landis, they're literally unfazed by it. They're like villains. They're like looking down on them. And then the robot bear comes out and kills the mafia guys while John Landis and The Rock were laughing their asses off. Like, we're talking about like, a horrific, brutal mutilation happening, and John Landis and The Rock are just like absolutely hysterical.
Wow. Okay.
And I guess that's kind of the end. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's cool. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Man, that is so. I always like hearing how dreams can kind of like demonstrate these different layers to the mind. I know sometimes in my dreams I'll dream that I like somehow go from one dimension to the next, kind of like how you did. You were watching something on a computer, and then you were inside of the video, or the video took over the dream from the sound of it. You said that happens a lot in your dreams, right?
Yeah.
Cool. That's really cool. Um, why do you think you dreamt that?
Um, I could never really explain why, I guess, but
And that's fine. See, I think sometimes dreams are just dreams. Like they don't always have to have a meaning. Sometimes they're just weird and random and kind of fun to experience. But I'm glad that you managed to write it down though, because I'll often talk to friends and family that they'll be like, "Oh, hey, I had this dream," and then they'll be missing pieces from the dream. I'm like, "Well, why didn't you write it down?" But That I think that's a really good habit for, I don't know, everyone. Well, not everyone's as into dreams as I am, but like I think that's a really good thing to do, is just to write down your dreams. Um,
Mhm.
but okay, that was a very interesting dream, and you said you have another one you'd like to share.
Another scary dream I had.
Okay.
I'm in the first person view and I'm in the woods. And like I see this wolf playing with like this stuffed doll and sort of like I don't know, it kind of felt like a video game kind of thing, like as if it's like Witcher and like all the actions just seem way too fake because the wolf is like acting like a dog would. So it's like it like tosses the doll in the air, catches it, it's wagging its tail, and like it drops it. I pick it up and I toss it in the air and it catches it and it's just straight up like, yeah, okay, we get it. Yeah, the dream's cool. and then my dream was like I you want to play like that? And um apparently I throw the doll a good distance and then immediately I turn around and there's a building. And there was no building anywhere before because I'm in the woods. So there's now a building. And it's like kind of how I remember dreaming it. It's like there's woods all around me, and the building's kind of like definitely a multi-story building. I can't see the top of it. It's pretty big, but it's not really like long or wide. It's kind of like square at the base. I go inside. My brother is in there, and there's a Japanese guy that's checking in like it's a hotel, and it does look like a hotel in there. And so my brother's like staying in the hotel, and we like go to his room to hang out. Shows me a cool shirt he got. It has a wolf on the front and tells me, you look at a certain angle and it changes. And as I move to look at it, the wolf on the shirt changes to a reptile. And it looks like so I remember it looked blue and green. It was really cool because it's like the thing, that effect where on like they put it on cards or they put it on like video game cases or movie cases where you look at it one side,
Sure.
looks like something, you change it, it looks like something else.
I got you.
And it kept changing too. It kept changing and it looked like an alien. And you know, that's something I kind of forgot to tell you. My dreams, not only are they like movies, they exactly are like movies because this is like literal foreshadowing.
Okay.
It's literal foreshadowing.
Gotcha.
I leave and I see the reptile that I saw on the shirt. It's just there, but it has the stuffed doll in its jaws, the same one.
Oh wow.
So I knew that this was the same creature. I was consciously aware that this was the same animal, but like this wolf changed into a reptile. It looked like a big ass iguana.
Okay.
Um, and it was like pretty chill, you know. It like there was like a lounge chair or whatever. It got up in the chair, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I like approached it. It was cool, and the doll looked like a doll from Caroline because it
Okay.
had like the button eyes and stuff. It was cool,
Okay.
and like somehow it just like vanished. Like it was just gone. Um, but I have like that Caroline doll apparently.
Oh
So
wow.
like I'm like looking around for the animal to like give it back its doll apparently. And I'm like climbing upstairs, knocking on hotel rooms. No one answers ever. And then I see a door that's ajar, so I walk in. And it's like apparently it's the Japanese guy's room from earlier. And I see an alien creature that looks exactly like the last like change on the shirt.
Okay.
And it's pretty much on top of this guy, just killing him straight up. It
Oof.
was like I was like, oh shit. And like what it was doing was it had like these claws and it was just fucking tearing him apart. And I
Ooh.
was like, oh shit. And the creature just runs, books it out of there. And it doesn't even like do anything to me. It's just gone. And like what's weird is like you know how like a if you make a gecko scared, its tail pops off.
I did not know that. Really?
Yeah, there's some. They're not the only lizard that has like the defense mechanism of making their tail pop off.
Huh. Why does it do
Yeah,
that? So that like the predator that's chasing it goes after the tail, I guess?
some species of geckos, including leopard geckos and day geckos, have a defense mechanism that allows them to drop their tails when they feel threatened. This tail loss tends to be more common in younger geckos. Fortunately, gecko tail loss is a natural phenomenon, and your pet should come through it just fine.
Wow. That's really interesting. I learned
So,
today.
so it's kind of like that because the claw that it had detached. It was just like still on his throat, and I like pry it off, but it like falls apart. And then I kind of woke up.
So the Japanese guy was like laying down on the ground dying, and he had the
Oh
claw.
no, not on the ground. It was on a bed.
Oh,
It
on a bed.
was.
Okay.
You, I remember this because the sheets were white and like
Okay.
almost all. Yeah, there was like so much blood. The floor I remember was like brown. It's like a brown carpet everywhere. The walls were brown. It was kind of a. It looked like a hotel.
Okay.
Hotels are bland as hell.
Yeah. Okay. So he's dying in the bed, and you go up to him and you remove the claw from his throat, and then it just disintegrates in your hand, and then you wake
It
up.
did, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Do
But
you-
I remember another thing though. My intentions, like in the midst of that dream, was like I need to stop the bleeding. That was like what I was thinking. Was like immediately was like I need to stop the bleeding. I need to get help. I need to help this person. It was really I remember my heart was beating pretty hard when I woke up. I was like, that was hardcore.
Wow. I've had people tell me that before that when they wake up from a dream, then they'll feel like what's happened to them in the dream, like if they were hit or something, or if they were suffocating, like uh, that's and I think that may be a testament to how powerful the mind can be. Like
Mhm.
people can
Yeah.
have like you can be short of breath just with like you could think about something that just gives you a panic attack, and then you can just be short of breath. So it's um that's just crazy that you can like wake up and then like you're feeling like stressed out. Oh man, that's cool though. I thank you for sharing that. Do you think that had any significance? Like, did you know the Japanese guy?
I had no idea who he was. I knew he was Japanese based on his voice, the way because he did not speak English. He was
Okay.
saying Japanese words, and I uh I don't know Japanese, but somehow I knew it was Japanese words. And he didn't even look Japanese. I'll be honest, sometimes in my dreams when I see people's faces, their faces are like absolutely unable to be processed visually.
Oh,
I can absolutely not for the life of me discern people's faces. Like 95% of the time.
okay.
There's only been a few times where I've seen someone's face in my dreams. I'm like, I know who that is, like The Rock and John Landis. I knew it was them. Or there's another dream where actually that is a good dream. I should probably find that one real quick. I just remembered another one that was pretty good.
Okay.
And that also features a celebrity. A celebrity that I also like.
Yeah, I rarely ever dream of celebrities, but something really weird is a while ago when Trump got elected the first time, within like 3 months of his election, I dreamt that he blew up the world. And
That's a very good dream.
well, so I dreamt that he blew up the world, and then like the explosion summoned these interdimensional beings that like went to the White House and held him responsible for killing so many people, and then like they ended up, but they were like these, they had like psychic abilities, so they were able to figure out that the president was actually like, it wasn't Trump, but it was actually like an imposter, and then they took off his mask, and it was Nemesis from Resident Evil.
Oh my god. That's amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a very entertaining dream.
No, I bet. Oh, especially having Trump. Oh my god, that's so fun. That's great. That's great. I found two others that are like really good because one of them is so funny.
Okay.
It's so weird.
Oh, perfect. I love weird dreams.
I don't even understand how this actually happened, but I remember I'm in like a bathroom and there's like sinks to my right and stalls to my left. Kind of like we've all been there. We're standing in the bathroom. There's sinks to your right. There's stalls to your left. In the right hand corner of the back of the wall, there's a pipe. And like it's like sticking up, but it's like unfinished, so there's like a hole there.
Okay.
And it's not like a Mario pipe. It's not big. It's not wide. It's like literally tiny. And then it starts rumbling. Like I can visually see and hear that it's rumbling. And then a person bursts out of it in a cartoon fashion, and the song "Circle of Life" starts playing as soon as he pops out. Do you know that song?
Yeah, from The Lion King.
Yes,
Nice.
from and I don't understand it because I hadn't heard when I had the stream. I hadn't heard that song in like over a decade,
Okay.
and I'm like just I'm not loose in the dream, but like I'm literally like absolutely weirded out. My brain's like, what is happening? Um, and like, and when he lands, he hands me a pipe wrench, and my brain's like, "Do you want me to fix this pipe or something?" And then I wake up, and when as soon as I woke up, I was like, Was that the circle of life from the Lion King?" Like,
Nice. You bring up an interesting point. I wanted to ask you actually. Have you ever dreamt of any music or songs that you've never heard of in waking life?
maybe one or two instances of that, but um, that one was like definitely like it because that's never happened to me before. It's never happened to me since. That dream's from a while ago. That's from like over a year ago, over 2 years ago.
Wait, so
But
the
like,
the person that popped out, was it a man or a woman?
it was like a dude.
Dude, okay. Now, when he was born out of this pipe, was he naked or did he wear clothes or?
I think he was naked, but my brain, everything was just in too much shock over the circle of life playing in my head. So I honestly couldn't tell you. He was most likely naked, though.
That's funny. But he came out as a full adult, not as a child.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah. He's an adult. Yeah.
that's interesting. That was so, yeah, that's bizarre. But that's dreams for you, man. They could be like that sometimes.
Dreams just do be like that sometimes.
Thank you for sharing that. That was a cool one. And did you say you also had another one after that one that you want to share?
Uh, how about two more?
Okay, sure.
Want to do two more?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this one is about Gordon Ramsay visiting my local supermarket.
Okay.
And obviously, this is one of those dreams, one of the very rare dreams where I'm like, yeah, I know who that person is, 100%. So, like, I'm working in like whenever I dream of my local supermarket, it always looks different than how it normally does. But I know it's the same supermarket. I know that it is my local supermarket. It's just those weird subconscious things where you're like, yeah, I know what this place is. I'm
Gotcha.
familiar.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like this restaurant style kitchen in like the back. I know where it's like even placed. It's where like the butchers chop up meat in the very back, like raw meat. So like that place is like just completely non-existent in the stream, and instead it's like a restaurant kitchen. And it's me and this lady in there. I know who the lady is. She's a cousin, but like I couldn't recognize her face. I could just only tell from her voice and how she was just nice to me. um and I'm cooking food over a stove, and there's like this giant pan with the hole in it on the stove. Like I'm doing something with it, but I kind of stop for a second because I hear a bell going off. Like when you go up to a counter and you see the bell and you tap the button, it makes the ding ding.
Okay.
It's like that. I look and it's Gordon Ramsay. And so I run over and I'm like, "Hey, what do you want?" And he's like, "Give me the best stuff you got." With a smile on his face, he's like happy. I get back to the whole pan, as I called it, because I mean this thing was weird. It's like a cast iron skillet with a literal hole in the middle at the bottom, just straight through. Like you could put your finger through it, you know?
Dream logic.
Yeah. And then I move it around, and food starts materializing from out of the hole. Like I can see the particles coming from the hole, like the center of it, and it's like just food is just existing, and it comes out as like this a risotto. Like I can see the rice, I can see like the cream sauce and the spices, and then Gordon Ramsay comes around the counter to the kitchen, and there's more people around me, and he just starts going off on everyone because that's what he does.
Yeah.
That's my dreams. My brain was like, "Hey, you forgot that Gordon Ramsay's like not a nice person." So like my cousin is making a giant souffle in a whole pan. Like she has the same kind of thing I have. And like the souffle stood like like 5 inches out of the pan. It was huge, and it looked absolutely delicious. I like walk over to her and I grab the pan. I'm like, "Here, let me take care of this." So like as soon as I grab the pan, the souffle changes. The souffle shrinks and becomes like golden and crispy on top, and like it looks even better than before. And then
Nice.
Gordon Ramsay comes over and he's like, "It's that easy?" And I'm like, "Would you like your food on a plate or in a container?" And then he looks around like in that exaggerated way, like he's like looking outside of the kitchen. He's like, "You don't have dining tables in this supermarket, you donkey." And then I laugh, and then I put his food in like a Tupperware. And then I kind of realized after the dream, like, why would he wouldn't want that? No one would want that. There's no way. And so I give him the food, and he pays me in these like half gold, half silver coins. Like they look like moon cookies, like the white and the black cookies, like split in half. So
Gotcha.
it looks like that. And
Cool.
then I consciously look at the coins and I think to myself, I should buy a snack. I basically woke up from there because I was hungry.
Okay, so you were about to buy a snack and then you just realized you were sleeping and you woke up, or?
I said I should buy a snack because I was hungry. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm hungry, like in my own sleep, I'll be literally be like, "Nope, it's time to eat," So I'll wake up.
Nice. That's cool that your body's aware of itself like that. Uh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's a more comical dream. That's Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, he's definitely entertaining to watch. That's cool though. Do you like to cook a lot, or?
Back then when I had the dream, I didn't cook jack all. But recently I made crab cakes, homemade crab cakes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's cool though. That's a I like that dream. That's a very interesting creative dream. Um okay, and then you said you had another one that you wanted to share, correct?
Yeah, I have the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. it's just bizarre. So like in this one, like I'm at different perspectives like throughout the whole thing, but like mostly first person, which is kind of rare. Like I don't really get to view first person like a whole lot. That dream that I just explained previously, that was first person most of the time, or the whole time.
Okay.
Um, so like I'm in the first person view, and I'm not me. I'm instead a blonde girl. This girl, and she has blonde hair, and it's that's like that's where I was like, okay, getting weird.
Yeah. Cool.
So like I'm walking up to this like uh booth, like the walls are like black. They're like black metal. And you know, the floor is metal. Everything's just the same color, same texture, same material.
Okay.
And I walk up to this booth, there's a person in it, and they give me this like little wristband with like a blue um little uh chip on it. It's like an like I definitely was subconsciously aware that this was like some sort of piece of technology.
Okay.
And I'm still kind of seeing through her eyes. I have a tiny bit of lucidity, but like I don't really have control. And I'm walking around, I have this thing on my wrist, walking by like other people, and I was like consciously aware, because I'm a girl, like I'm looking at guys, and I was like short. I was definitely like 5'2", 5'3", I'd say. Was definitely an adult or a teenager. At the time I had this dream, I was 18. So like,
Okay.
but like everyone was either tall or around the same height. I walked around for a while, not really much happening there until I got to a window. The window was clearly interesting because I looked out and I could see Earth. And I was like, I'm in space. And parallel to the window, forward, straight, are like submarines just floating around. And Earth was kind of like at the bottom right. Like if I was standing at the window, the bottom right, there's Earth.
Okay.
And then like in front of me, there are like these some big submarines just kind of floating around.
Wow.
And like the way the window looked, there were like um bars like going diagonally from bottom left to the top right, like multiple bars. And the window was like in the shape of a trapezoid. And there's like a turret on like one of the submarines, because the submarines weren't like that far away. Like I could definitely see and like identify what I was looking at. And there was like turrets on it.
Okay.
And I watched it like watch the turret like move around, and then it literally faced me
Whoa.
and stopped. Yeah, and I was like scared. And but nothing happened. Like nothing happened from there, from that sort of whatever was happening there, that was just no longer happening anymore. Because then someone came up behind me, or beside me, I'm sorry, put their hand on their shoulder, and the guy said, pretty cool, huh? And I looked up at the guy, and like quite a bit of lucidity kicked in here, because I just was like, I don't know. I felt like I was an imposter in
Okay.
this place. Like I felt like I really should not be here. I don't know why I'm here. So like I was just like, yeah, it is. Is it gonna fire or whatever? Like, and then he just kind of like walked away. And then I kind of walked around more, and I came across a storage room. I looked in this small box, like it really felt like a video game there, because like as if like it's Resident Evil. Like take the box, open it, and there's like another thing of like these wrist identificator things that I had,
Okay.
and it was, instead of it being blue, it was gold. And I put it in the palm of my hand. And I just closed my fist, and I then put my hands in my pockets. And that's where a third person view came in. I could see myself, and like I was like, I'm hesitating on saying it because it's so bizarre.
No, that's perfect. That
Like,
bizarre is normal for dream world.
yeah, no, I know. Um, like I could see that I'm wearing like this jumpsuit, and it was like, I'm not gonna lie, it looked kind of scampy.
Okay.
You know, it,
Yeah.
it looked pretty like tight. You know,
Okay.
and so like, and then I kind of went back into the first person. I got to an elevator, and the guy, same guy from before, walks in the elevator, and I sort of like feel panic,
Ooh.
and the guy like actually starts. He literally says, from what I'm reading here that I wrote, "Aren't you a bit too young and pretty to be an engineer here?"
Huh.
Like like holy what? And then I say apparently electrical engineer. Yeah, I'm good at it. And then he says, "Hey, as long as you're good at it, we're good." And I look at his hand, and he has his hand on a gun.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like a normal gun. And then like I panicked so hard that I woke up.
Okay. Wow. Man, that was a lot of detail. That was very sci-fi. Like that could be a scene in a sci-fi novel.
Yeah, that scene is straight up like, yeah, it really does. I don't even understand like how I dreamt of something so like so bizarre and weird, but at the same time so coherent.
Were you able to see the guy's face? I know you mentioned that it's difficult for you to make facial details.
Identify his face, but he looked fat.
Okay. Gotcha.
He had a fat face. Another thing to note: the guy was not in a jumpsuit like I was. He was like in a, it's like a plaid shirt and like dress pants, and like
Okay.
he has like a loose tie.
Hmm.
He looked like definitely someone who both should not be there and should be there, because he was definitely like someone with way more authority than me. Because I was like, I felt like how a girl would feel in a place like this, in like a military kind of place, because this was 100% like definitely like something military oriented. I mean, I'm looking at a submarine with a giant gun on it, in the middle of space. So, and like, you know, how she felt, I really felt it too. Cause I've had many dreams where I'm like seeing through the perspective of someone else too. Um, I've had another dream like actually quite like this, about being in the body of someone of the opposite gender. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's very very interesting. Very cool. Yeah, I haven't talked to many people that have that experience. It's really interesting. It's cool that you can get that experience though. I don't know if you're familiar with Tibetan Buddhism or Mahayana Buddhism, but I remember reading something that they use lucid dreaming as a way to help condition their alertness. And I know that they have different things that they have to try. It may have been Bon Buddhism. I have to brush up on that, but um, like one of the things is that they have to try to lucid dream about being the opposite gender.
Mhm.
I know that that's one of their tasks that they have to be able to accomplish. I forget why, but I think it has something to do with like just being more understanding of people. But that's that's really cool. That was definitely a interesting dream. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, August, I really appreciate you coming on and like sharing your dreams and talking about dreams with me. Pretty much done here, but did you have any closing thoughts or anything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, for watch his podcast. Watch more episodes. Watch them all. uh, okay, for real though, yeah. Dreams are definitely one of the most enigmatic, like It's absolutely enigmatic, but it's also extraordinarily normal. I mean, everyone dreams. It's part of our life, you know?
Yeah.
And as something that's a part of our lives, it is really cool that there are scientists out there trying to come to a bigger, better understanding of it because with how deep the misinformation goes throughout the landscape of our modern society, you know, where you're watching um or reading into things like conspiracy theories and stuff. And you know, I had done this. I'd gone way too deep. I was reading about shit that I should not have been reading about. And of course, that right now, fully aware that just about almost everything that I was looking into is like all bullshit.
And I think
The
all of us at one point or another kind of get caught into that cycle. Like something will catch you. And the thing about, I love conspiracy theories for, if for nothing else, just because they're so entertaining, but like
yeah, yeah,
people have to remember to keep that distinction between entertainment and reality. I don't know. It's, people often forget, like, I think if there is any truth to be found in the world, it has to come from the person experiencing, their own life. Because
yeah.
like, that's my biggest thing. It's like, oftentimes, like, and I have people reaching out to me often on Reddit for, like, dream interpretation, and I can always offer my interpretation, but I have to make sure that people realize that the thing that's important is the interpretation that comes from them. Like, I really think that people can apply that to life in general.
Of course, yeah.
But no, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate you, being honest and sharing your dreams with us, because dreams can be very personal. They're part of us, and bring attention to it, because dreams can reveal things to ourselves, about ourselves, that may hold significance that we should really consider. So I do appreciate you coming on, and you're welcome back anytime. If you have any interesting dreams, send me a message.
Of course. Is there a way I could also like shout out something for myself?
Oh, of course.
Or
Yeah, yeah. No,
oh,
go
cool,
ahead.
cool.
If you want to
Uh,
give me like links to anything, I'll link it in the podcast. It's yeah, not a problem.
yeah, I just kind of want to link my Twitter. That'd be really nice. You know,
Yeah.
go follow me there on Twitter. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you chatting with me, August, and I hope you have a great Thanksgiving.
I hope you have a great Thanksgiving too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.